In 1940, during the early stages of World War II, the Battle of France was in full swing, and the German forces were rapidly advancing across Europe. The Allied troops found themselves encircled and trapped on the beaches of Dunkirk, a port city in northern France. Among the soldiers was Tommy, a young British infantryman who had miraculously survived a devastating German attack that had wiped out his entire unit. As he wandered through the chaos and devastation on the beach, he was determined to find a way back home. At the same time, another soldier, Gibson, was burying the body of a fallen comrade when he came across Tommy. Together, they witnessed the horrors of the Luftwaffe dive bombers bombing the beach and attacking the Allied forces relentlessly. Amidst the chaos, they managed to come across a hospital ship that was preparing to evacuate wounded soldiers. Hoping to escape the hellish battleground, they tried to sneak aboard with a wounded soldier on a stretcher. However, they were abruptly ordered off the ship and forced to retreat back to the beach. While on the beach, they overheard a conversation among some officers, including Royal Navy Commander Bolton. He was desperately hoping for a miracle to rescue the thousands of stranded troops. Their chances seemed bleak, but Commander Bolton remained resolute in his determination to save as many lives as possible. During this time, another soldier named Alex, a member of the Highlanders Regiment, was also trying to find a way to escape the encirclement. Tommy, Gibson, and Alex found themselves on a destroyer, one of the few ships available for the evacuation. But before they could leave, the destroyer was struck by a torpedo and began to sink. In a stroke of luck, Gibson managed to save Tommy and Alex from drowning, and the three were once again stranded on the beach, their hopes dwindling. Meanwhile, on the English side of the English Channel, civilian sailor Dawson had made a momentous decision. Instead of allowing the Navy to commandeer his beloved boat, Moonstone, he decided to take matters into his own hands and sail it himself to Dunkirk. His teenage son, Peter, and their young hand, George, joined him on this brave and dangerous journey. As they made their way to Dunkirk, they came across a shell-shocked soldier, the lone survivor of a U-boat attack. Fearing a return to Dunkirk, the soldier panicked and tried to seize control of the boat. In the ensuing struggle, George suffered a head injury that left him blind, adding to the already tense situation. Back in the air, 3 Royal Air Force Spitfires headed towards Dunkirk to provide air cover for the evacuation. However, when their leader went missing after a dogfight with German Messerschmitt Bf 109s, one of the pilots, Ferrier, assumed command, even though his own plane had a shattered fuel gauge. With limited fuel, they had only an hour to protect the troops below. During their mission, one of the Spitfires was hit by an enemy fighter and crashed into the sea. Fortunately, its pilot, Collins, was rescued by Dawson's boat, Moonstone. Meanwhile, Tommy, Alex, and Gibson found themselves joining a group of soldiers from the Highlanders Regiment, taking shelter inside a beached trawler in the intertidal zone just outside the Allied perimeter. They waited, hoping the rising tide would allow them to escape. However, their safety was short-lived as the boat came under target practice from German soldiers. With water seeping in through bullet holes, tensions rose among the men, and Alex accused Gibson of being a German spy. Gibson finally revealed the truth: he was not British but French. In a desperate attempt to escape the war, he had stolen the identity of the dead British soldier he had buried. Despite this revelation, their situation remained dire, and they were forced to abandon the sinking boat. Tragically, Gibson became entangled in a chain and drowned. As the evacuation intensified, Ferrier faced a difficult decision. He knew he could not make it back to England with the remaining fuel, but he chose to continue protecting the soldiers on the beach, putting their lives before his own. With the Navy requisitioning civilian vessels, Dawson's Moonstone became one of the many civilian boats to join the rescue effort. They braved the treacherous waters to reach Dunkirk, where they rescued Alex from the sea. However, tragedy struck again as George's lifeless body was found on board, leaving the shell-shocked soldier devastated by the loss. Nevertheless, Peter showed incredible resilience and strength, assuring the soldier that George would be all right. Ferrier's brave efforts in the skies finally led to a moment of triumph as he shot down an enemy bomber, preventing it from attacking the mole where troops were being evacuated. His heroic actions were met with cheers from the grateful soldiers below. As the evacuation drew to a close, over 300,000 men were successfully rescued from the beaches of Dunkirk, an extraordinary feat that defied all odds. The Royal Navy commander Bolton stayed behind to oversee the evacuation of the French soldiers, showing unwavering commitment to their allies. Back in Weymouth, Dawson and his son returned home, where they faced the heartbreaking reality of George's death. Yet, Peter made sure George's role in the evacuation was not forgotten, ensuring his bravery would be celebrated and remembered. Tommy and Alex, along with the rest of the rescued soldiers, boarded a train to Woking. Instead of public hostility, they were met with cheers and gifts from a grateful nation, acknowledging their bravery and resilience during the harrowing events at Dunkirk. Amidst the tragedy and sacrifice, the spirit of Dunkirk remained a testament to the indomitable human spirit, where ordinary individuals rose to extraordinary heights to overcome seemingly insurmountable challenges. As the war raged on, Churchill's words inspired the nation to continue the fight against Germany, with the memory of Dunkirk serving as a beacon of hope and determination in the darkest of times.
Subscribe to Cinematic Inspiration for more stories.